Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Clutch Talk podcast / YouTube / We Do It All. As always, I'm your host, John. Very happy to be here. My boy Jay Hills over there in the six. How you doing, my dog?
Doing great, man. Excited to talk about this upcoming deadline, buyers and sellers. Got a great guest back on the show again. Ryan, what up, man?
Oh, not much. Just I'm used to normally coming up on trade deadline like it's nothing until like 12 hours before, but now apparently we're getting a slow walk into it now or
Man.
something. So
Man, tell me about it, Ryan. But Ryan, like how Jay said, we're super excited to have you back on. I mean, the OG fans, the fans that was here in the offseason, they already saw Ryan come on. He's a great guy, and Ryan also has his Blazers podcast. He has all of his socials. I'm going to link everything in the description down below so you can check out Ryan's work for his podcast, for his socials, and make sure to go check him out. Show him some love for coming on here and talking some hoops with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys.
No problem,
Absolutely.
man. So exactly like how like we said, we are gonna today talk about the Western Conference buyers or sellers. We're just simply gonna go through 1 through 15, and this just the way the standings are. So you guys ready to jump into it?
Yep.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So let's start with the number 1 seed, Phoenix Suns. Buyers, sellers, or hold?
Hold.
Hold
all the way. Yeah.
Hold strong. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not really much to get into that, but yeah, absolutely hold strong. Golden State Warriors,
Or-
Yeah, they're a hold.
Yeah.
they're hold. Is there
What are you
something
gonna
you're
say,
thinking about,
yeah.
Ryan?
What are you feeling,
I don't.
man?
I don't know. I got a bias of that. I'd still love to see Draymond up here in Portland. So I if they
no.
want to sell, go ahead. But should they and will they? No, that's a hold.
What would you like? I know you're holding on to that dream, Ryan. But like, what would you what would be a quick package that you think the Warriors might accept for that?
There's nothing that the Blazers would have to freaking be able to sell them to make it work. I mean, you can find the dollars to make it work, but there's nothing that realistically, basketball wise and on the court, that I could see that could make that happen.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, so then let's keep it pushing and let's get to the 3rd seed, the Memphis Grizzlies. Buy, sell, or hold.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I would say probably stay put because I mean they're rolling right now. No one expected them to be where they're at, the 3rd seed right now. I think maybe an opportunistic, like adding like maybe a veteran piece or something. But for the most part, I think it's just staying put because I mean they're doing great right now.
Yeah, they're kind of on this trajectory right now with being at the 3rd seed and the level of play that they've had, and this emergence of Ja Morant, where it's kind of like you just kind of sit tight and see where this group can get you, how far you can rise, what your distance is in the playoffs, and then take that body of work in the offseason and go, okay, here's where we need to tinker. This is the year of their science experiment, and right now it's turning out great for them. So.
100%. Yeah, I'm right there with both you guys. I like the way you described it, Ryan, as being like a science experiment. They're out here just trying, and then from here on, they will they'll know what to do. So right there with you guys. So let's keep it pushing and let's talk about the Utah Jazz who's sitting in that 4th seed. There's some wild thoughts and opinions about the Jazz coming from Jay. So how do you guys feel? Buyers, sellers, or hold with the Jazz?
I think they need to be buyers a little bit, see if they can do anything with, Joe Ingles' contract with his injury and whatnot, and see if they can turn that into something. But I mean, outside of that, it's hard for me to see, them getting a deal done with anybody else.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I think Joe Ingles' injury just made it that much harder. Before that, I think it was going to be hard regardless. They could have been trying. I looked at like players like Jeremy Grant and potentially Harrison Barnes as players who they could have targeted and the exact wing, the upgrade they need. But now I think it's pretty much impossible for them to give up anything to get those kind of guys back. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you guys. But just the only thing I would like to add to that is like feel like for the past couple of years we've seen the Jazz be a really good regular season team. Come playoffs, kind of I wouldn't say 100% choke, but definitely not keep playing to that same level that we've been seeing in the regular season. But we usually see teams like they get close, and then when they're finally able to break that seal and able to do something in the playoffs. And I honestly am really hoping that the Jazz are going to be able to do that this year. And I know in past years they've actually been better in the regular season. Right now they're not playing as well in the regular season, but I really hope that they're going to be able to break that seal and break that playoff curse. Really that's that deep playoff curse that's going on over there in Utah, because I definitely wouldn't want to see Donovan be able to do something serious. I want to see Rudy be able to get some more respect. I know this year he finally got to get some more respect around the league, but yeah, so for the Jazz, definitely hold it out if anything, but definitely maybe look into the buyout market if anything. What's up, Jay?
I got a question for both of you, and this is because we've been hearing the rumblings ever since, I guess, kind of like COVID started and Rudy Gobert touched all these mics, and we saw the rift kind of between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. So I really look at Utah right now, and I named obviously Jeremy Grant and Harrison Barnes as two kind of pieces that would make them maybe better or kind of the same of where they're at right now. But like you said, John, they really haven't done anything in the playoffs. Great regular season team, but they're struggling in the regular season this year. But if a team, my question to you guys is, if a team comes to you and inquires about Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell, more so on the side of Rudy Gobert, are you open to discussing a trade to bring in other pieces? Or are you just sitting tight with what you got right now?
Didn't he just sign his massive deal this last offseason? Didn't he just sign that? I think if somebody comes and asks for Rudy Gobert, you say, how about a ham sandwich, and we'll talk later.
Okay. I just had to see because there's rumbling still. I've been reading about that recently, so I had to ask that question.
Yeah, 100%, Jay. Yeah, I mean, if you're the Jazz, you gotta, I guess you gotta side if you would go with Donovan or Rudy. I mean, if that's like the question that that's being proposed, 100%. I know Rudy just signed this massive contract, but 7 days out of 7, even on Sundays, I'm letting Rudy walk for Donovan, and I'm gonna let Donovan rock out and be my guy. So
yeah, if in some universe, if you're gonna trade one of them, it's Rudy's the guy to go, and as you said, let Donovan rock out and see what he can do.
Would you do the same, Jay, or what?
Yeah, no question.
Okay, yeah. He's like, yeah, of course. What? All right, cool. All right, so then let's keep it pushing, and now let's get into the 5th seed. Some of these teams now actually got to look to really do some moves. So let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, and for this one, honestly, guys, like when I was putting together this little list here, I was really excited to talk about this one. So let me go this one first, because so look, guys, if the Dallas Mavericks, and they need to sit down with Mark Cuban and all their whole management team and think, are we going to pay Jalen Brunson this offseason, who's about to be an unrestricted free agent? If they're not going to pay him, if they're just going to let him walk, they're not willing to pay whatever that they want to that he's going to request, then they need to be sellers, and they need to sell Jalen Brunson, who's been playing amazing. He's been like a Luka 2.0 out there. They need to sell him for at the highest point they can. Like, if this was a stock market, this is the highest you're going to get in Jalen Brunson. He's about to be an unrestricted free agent. But if they decide that they're gonna pay him, and they're gonna keep rocking out him and give him whatever he asks for, then I think that the Mavs should seriously look to not do anything. Keep him. Make that be your number one move. Make that be a move that you get done, and let the team rock out from there. Because I really like that Luka, and then Jalen Brunson comes in as that starting backup guard. But how you guys feel about the Mavs?
From everything I've heard, it sounds like, I don't know if they're necessarily buyers or sellers, or necessarily are looking to be opportunistic facilitators. There's a lot of teams where Dallas's name has been, mentioned the bit, and seeing what they can get as like, oh, hey, you need to turn this into a 3-team deal. Let's see if you can come in and we can help this out in some way. But yeah, from all intents and purposes, everything you're getting out of Dallas is that they do want to keep Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith around long-term with Luka. There's been long rumors with Kristaps, but I'm not entirely sure, even if they want to ship him out somewhere to try to get something big done, if they could, that anybody necessarily wants the unicorn anymore. I mean, that injury reputation is a hard thing to shake.
the inconsistency as well too is harder for him to shake clearly.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with kind of both of you, and the fact that I think it's a kind of a buy big or not at all for Dallas. I mean, they're successful enough sitting at the 5th seed right now in the West, but I'm looking at names like John Collins, Christian Wood potentially as if they're gonna go and be active in the trade market. I think they need to get a big name because, like you mentioned, Kristaps Porzingis, you're not probably not going to get much for him, but he clearly isn't the second option that they had envisioned when they brought him over for New York. And obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. is injured right now, and he's a supporting scorer, and they don't have him. So bringing in a guy like Christian Wood, who, yes, he doesn't move the needle that much, he makes you maybe a little bit better. And I'm kind of questioning whether he's a winning player or not. But John Collins, we've seen what he can do in Atlanta, and he's also kind of frustrated with his situation right now as well. So if they could bring him in, I think that'd be great. So yeah, I'm either big or not at all. Just stay home, stay pat.
Okay, for sure. And then Jay, you bring up John Collins and Christian Wood, and that makes me think. So when we were getting this together, I saw Bobby Marks. He did an article on ESPN where he said he gave a trade scenario for all 30 teams. And when it came to the Dallas Mavericks, he gave this trade scenario, which was Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Reggie Bullock, and 2 first-round picks for John Collins. Now, if you're the Mavs, you take that every single day out of the week. You get John Collins with Luka, that would be a scary duo to have. But do you take that if you're the Hawks? Because I mean, like, I'm not taking that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm the Hawks at all, even though John Collins may be crying about his situation or whatever. So I just want to get like a temperature check on how you guys feel about that. Like, that's a bad trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. For Atlanta. Yeah.
Atlanta. Okay.
I mean, and like Ryan mentioned earlier, John Collins is another player who just signed an extension, our huge contract in the offseason as well, like along with Rudy Gobert. So it'd be kind of difficult for them to give up on him already. So they got to make it work whatever way they can, in my opinion.
Okay.
Bad deal for the Hawks. Great for Dallas, though.
Yeah, that'd be great for Dallas. Yeah, that'd be terrible for the Hawks. But all right, so then let's keep it pushing. That definitely was a good team to get into. And let's go to the 6th seed, and that is the Denver Nuggets. Wow.
I think they're a hold just because they can't do anything else. They don't. I mean, they can't trade this year's pick because they own next year's pick. I think that's top 14 protected for them, but still, I mean, hard to see them falling out or falling that far. But all their money tied up, all the guys that they would want to trade, they can't because they're all integral to everything that they have. So, I mean, unless somebody desperately wants any of the guys, wasting away on the end of their bench, they're in a hold just because they've put themselves there.
100%. Jay, talk to me.
Yeah. No, they put themselves in a hold. Yeah. Strong hold. Obviously, they committed to Michael Porter Jr. long-term. They're waiting to get Jamal Murray back. So they don't got a lot of options. So they just got to hold tight, wait till Jamal Murray hopefully comes back some point late in the season or in the playoffs. And then we'll hopefully be around the same position they're in now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Honestly, every time I talk about the Denver Nuggets, I'm like, dog, like, what happened with Michael Porter Jr. is literally like the worst thing that could possibly happen with the player. It's like they were super hesitant, like, oh, we don't want to pay him big money, this injury, and then he didn't get injured. He was balling out on that tiny contract. As soon as he got paid big, we got this huge back injury. So honestly, dog, like that's just every time I think about the Nuggets, it's crazy, man. But all right, so then let's keep it pushing, guys, and let's talk about the 7th seed. Let's talk about the 7th seed here in the West, man, and that's surprisingly the Minnesota Timberwolves.
When was the last time we said that sentence?
Yeah, who have been worked.
KG,
huh, Jay?
Yep.
Man, the Minnesota Timberwolves, guys. Like, honestly, yeah, I'll be real with you. When I was working on this list yesterday, I had I had one tab with the NBA standings, and I had another tab making this list. And then I was like, all right, 6th seed, 7th seed, Minnesota Timberwolves. I was so confused. But guys, buyers, sellers, or holders, how are you guys feeling about the Wolves?
Oh, they are buyers, and they want to buy one car and one car only, and that is the Ben Simmons model.
Yeah. Yeah, no, right there is buy big, or just stay pat. But if you can get Ben Simmons, probably for a young guy like probably Jaden McDaniels in another piece, maybe like Patrick Beverly, because I know his contract's expiring. So those are the kind of names that they'd have to throw in there. Maybe even kind of a D'Lo. That's what I think Philly would probably want back. So,
right. I think Philly's still hanging up with those. I mean, rumor has it they're currently hanging up with those kind of offers, but
yeah.
Man, so Jay, you mentioned D'Lo, right? So that's the one thing I want to talk to you guys about. In my opinion, the only two players that are just completely untouchables are Cat and Ant. D'Lo is are you guys there with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I needed to know that because I definitely see some people, mostly Wes, Wesley, the Wolves fan. He's a guy that we've had on our podcast in the past, and he just gives a lot of praise and a lot of respect to D'Lo. Says that D'Lo, Cat, and Ant are the three untouchables, but I don't think Philly budges unless you got a player like D'Lo in there. No one else is good enough.
Not to take away from D'Lo, but he to me kind of falls into one of those categories where you can use him to rearrange the deck chairs. His skill set is it can be replicated via various other players, and so it's not giving up Ant or Cat. That's the end of the world for that franchise. Giving up a guy like D'Lo, you can find somebody maybe not as good, but is close enough to replicate what he can bring to even it out.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned D'Lo, and I'm trying to think of a team who gave him up and got pretty good value back. Oh yeah, the Warriors. Yeah, so I think the Timberwolves are going to be do pretty well with getting back Ben Simmons and kind of another revitalizing project potentially. So yeah.
Man.
Agree with that. Second that notion.
Man, and yeah, D'Lo's definitely been on the downward trajectory, man. So hopefully he can figure that out. And then, but it would be cool to see Ben Simmons in on the Wolves, though. Just want to add that, like, he literally fixes like almost all of their problems. So that would be really cool to see him there. But all right, guys, so let's keep it pushing and let's talk about the 8th seed, which is the Los Angeles Clippers. Wow, guys. I mean, we just saw this blockbuster trade. Ryan, you go first, Ryan.
I need to know what dictionary you guys are reading the definition of blockbuster in, because you need to light that thing on fire. Obviously, right now, I think the Clippers are trying to kind of I don't think they're playing for anything this year. They can't be. And so you're seeing them kind of take their, lesser wanted toys and finding, some poor school kid on the playground to try to convince him to take them. And hey, there's a sucker born every minute. But yeah, Norman Powell's a good addition for them. He can take off some of that scoring load from Kawhi and Paul George and whatnot. And he is a very good, well, not very good. He's a decent guard or defensively. So, I mean, he adds a lot to him. Rocco, I'm going to be surprised if he's still on the Clippers come Thursday. I could see them flipping him because, they can use his reasonably priced expiring contracts, to maybe try to land some other pieces. They're obviously not looking for picks, but yeah, I mean, they're taking, this Kawhi injury and then not knowing whether Paul George will be back this year, as they're going to do what they can to try to reload and get the rest of their guys in a groove and working to where, Paul George comes back, Kawhi comes back, and that's just a plug and play automatic top 3 team.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm right there with that. But no, what you got, John?
No, I was just gonna talk to Ryan a little bit about that. So I'm like, okay, Ryan. So if they, Kawhi comes back, PG comes back, you got the rest of this Clippers roster. Are you seriously thinking they're like a serious like Warriors, Suns, like up Jazz contender? Like, are they contending with those guys?
I think they can be. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right, man. I mean, honestly, I was talking, me and Jay, we were talking about this when it happened. And I was telling Jay, I mean, look, I like your perspective where, you're saying that Robert Covington might even get traded, but like, I was going with the notion that he's going to be there. Now, I think if you what's up?
I was going to say, well, if he does stay, I mean, granted, he'd have to resign because he's a free agent in the offseason. Free agent in the offseason. If he does stay, one of the downfalls in Portland, and there was a lot of fan base confusion because you hear that he's a good 3-and-D player. Well, people automatically assume that means he's a lockdown defender. He's not a lockdown defender. He's an excellent team defender.
Right.
And if you pair a player at his defensive skill set with two guys who are really good one-on-one defenders like Paul George can be, and we know Kawhi is, well, then that allows Rocco to even expand his game even more to where he's allowed to play that kind of like free safety and roam. And, you know, even this year, a down year for him for his stint in Portland, and he was still averaging a lot of steals and a lot of blocks. And so, I mean, that's his role. When he doesn't have to be an anchor of a defense, he can excel as that kind of free safety role. So if he stays with this team to think that he can kind of help build it with them, I think he can excel for him.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, like I'll tell you what, the Clippers hit big. Blazers, not as much, but you know what? It's all good.
We'll get to them. We got a couple more spots to wait.
We got a couple more spots till we get to them. But all right. Well, so then let's talk about the 9th seed, man, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. What do you guys want to see the Lakers do?
Keep the course, because I'm sorry, as a Blazer fan, I gotta love all Laker misery, and so I will say at the beginning of the season I did view this Lakers team being a slight bit of a dumpster fire, so I'm glad to see that panning out a little bit. So
okay,
yeah,
all right.
They need shooting. Wherever they can find shooting, they need shooting.
100%. Yeah, if any team that has a player like LeBron James out there setting his players up, Russell Westbrook should not be somebody that is a spot up shooter out there waiting for that pass, man. And also the Lakers just really can't do like anything. Like they can't, like they have all these options. The players that are playing well are on small contracts. The players that are playing bad are on big ass contracts. So it makes it hard for them to move anything. I don't know if the Lakers are really having enough young talent to be able to ship that and get a good piece that's going to help them be able to really contend more than just AD and LeBron out there, man. But Jay, how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I think just buy as big as possible, but I mean that's not that big. So they have really nothing to give up. No one wants Westbrook. And I just think, right there with you, Ryan. Like, I'm fine seeing the Lakers lose. Like, I'm fine with that as a Warrior fan. But like,
Jeez.
No, I mean, I just think that before this season, I had them as a top 3 seed, and I'm really disappointed to see that but I always had concerns about how it would work with Westbrook, and those concerns have come to light and truth, unfortunately, for the Lakers. And I think this right now, fully healthy, first at best second round exit. And I think they really can't really add anything to make that any better. So that's just how I'm feeling on the Lakers and this deadline.
They'd need to luck their way into some other massive 5-team trade, similar to how they got Westbrook there in the first place. And I just don't think that there's enough other rival executives in the league that are willing to let them play with any of their toys in the sandbox to get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, definitely is tough. They got a lot of tied up assets over there. And then just real quick, Jay, I can't let that go by. Jay, fully healthy, there's no way they're the second round exit. Jay, fully healthy.
Oh, I think you're getting outvoted here. I'll agree with him on this one.
I'm definitely getting outvoted here. I'm just saying fully healthy. I don't know, man. But
I think the Lakers aren't a very good basketball team this season, John. Like about average
fully
at best.
Healthy.
You can look at that Knicks game.
Healthy, though. You haven't seen them fully healthy.
What's their fully healthy team?
Yeah.
A whole fully healthy roster of LeBron, of AD,
37.
But leading the league in most 30-point
yeah.
games, leading the league. So what does that say about your guys then? Because LeBron at 37 is leading the league almost 30-point games. So, and these guys that are 25, 23.
It's the cast around him, John.
No, it has nothing to do with the cast around him, because when Curry had nobody and he wasn't leading the league in 30-point games a couple of years ago when they lost to the Grizzlies in the bubble. Right. So like he wasn't leading the league in 30-point games. So it's not really about the cast around him. It's the guy's doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I feel it. So there definitely is some Laker doubt going on around here. But I mean, we'll see.
Proof is in the pudding, brother. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, I'm just looking at what the facts that have been presented to us throughout this season with a fully healthy. What's fully healthy? I'm still trying to get the definition from
THT and Kendrick Nunn playing consistently.
So that's not moving the needle. I'm sorry. That's not moving the needle.
I mean,
Kendrick Nunn is not moving the needle. I'm sorry.
I mean, let's just be real. Come playoffs, you need playoff vets, playoff experience. They got that. I mean, we'll see. I've been saying
Kendrick Nunn's moving the needle.
I've been saying since the beginning of the season, this Lakers roster is built to be a playoff team, not a regular season team. So I just think that
helps to get there in the regular season.
It does help to get there, but none of these play-in teams in my opinion, is going to be able to beat out the Lakers. So the Lakers are even if they're in a play-in situation, they will, in my opinion, easily make the playoffs.
Oh, we lost. Can you hear me?
Way back.
Can you guys hear me?
John, is he frozen for you?
All right, guys. Got a little bit on a tangent. Sorry about that. All right, let's go to the next team here.
Oh, good, brother.
So let's go to the next team here. That is the Blazers. The internet got cut off. Just want to let y'all know for the fans that are like, wait, what the hell happened? The internet got cut off, and we moved on to the next team. Blazers, guys, buyers or sellers. Ryan, I want you to take charge here. Talk to us.
It's hard to tell. They're both heavy buyers and heavy sellers because I mean they need to do something. They're trying to do a rebuild without doing a rebuild. They're trying to keep somebody like Dame to build around while also tiptoeing the line of trying to make room for Anthony Simons. This Norman Powell, Robert Covington trade was, it makes sense financially. Because the team needed to get under the luxury tax for this year, because otherwise they would have been a repeater tax, would have made it damn near impossible for them to do anything, even lopsided trade wise, in the following seasons, getting hit with all those stipulations on the repeater. But I mean, for me personally, I was a guy that I thought that the direction that the franchise should go, if they're going to try to carry this on around Dame as long as possible, is that you keep Dame, you ship off CJ, you take advantage of Ant's now perceived value, and you keep Norm as your two guard, because his style of play is the exact kind of style of play that you want from a guy next to Dame. He's a very good downhill scorer. He's not duplicating a lot of Dame's skills. Yes, he is good at three, but apparently they're going to attempt to toe this line of building around Dame and also holding on to young assets that if it doesn't work out and they got to turn around and ship off Dame, or if he asks out, next year or sometime down the road, that they have a core of guys and Anthony Simons and Nas, and apparently, the Keenan Johnson, they're really high on, which is kind of weird in my opinion, but all right, that they'd like to build these things around. So it's weird. They're sellers in that I expect CJ to be gone by the end of the trade deadline, but it's also not going to massively shock me. I more so expect Yusuf Nurkic to probably be gone by Thursday for them to move on from his or take advantage of his expiring contract. But same point in time, as far as CJ, I know he's the biggest piece that's being listed out there. He's still tied to anything dealing with the Sixers and Morey. Dallas has shown interest. Apparently the Pelicans have shown interest, but if the Blazers maintain this tank thing that they've been attempting to do, to mixed results, because they can't even tank right. If they're finding it difficult to move CJ now, then I'm going to say you tank and you get into a top 5 pick in the lottery, pair CJ in a top 5 pick. Suddenly that's a lot more appealing and a lot easier to move. So here locally, if I think that people are going to be getting out their pitchforks if CJ's still on the roster come trade deadline, I'm not of that mindset. And I think that, if they can't move him by then for anything appealing, they'll just hold on to him, and just that tank mode will go into full steam ahead and try to see if you can package him with a pick.
Right. So yeah, there'll be a lot of CJ sitting out, you're saying, if they don't move him by the deadline, probably.
Yeah.
Most likely,
right? Those nondescript back injuries or, a sore hamstring. Yeah. Those things.
Yeah. So Ryan, I got a question for you then. I fully think they're complete sellers in my opinion. Like they're going to be, like you said, salaries and getting Nurkic off the team and CJ. But what about, you mentioned the Pelicans. Okay, for the Pelicans, who would you want back, or like what names would you want in return? And there's also a team that I think potentially would be a good trade partner, but I haven't heard about recently, and that's the New York Knicks and RJ Barrett. You mentioned a guy who can get downhill, kind of play make. I think it'd be a great yin and yang with matching the style of play that Dame has. Obviously, a shooter stretching the floor, and then RJ can get down the lane and downhill like that. So, what do you think about those names and those teams on the Pelicans and the Knicks as potential trade partners?
For me, it's not going to happen. And this is why some of the Pelicans things confuse me a little bit. But for me, the only guy that I think would be worth it to get back that makes sense positional wise and a fit wise with this team, if they are going to move this forward with Dame and Anthony Simons, there's your 1 and 2 guard right there. Well, you need a guy like a Brandon Ingram coming in for your small forward. Larry Nance was somebody that I thought, I really liked to pick up in the offseason when they made that, and until he got injured, there's rumor that he may not make it back this year or whatnot. I don't know if that's just them holding him out or whatever, but he's a guy that maybe I thought could have been a trade piece, but looking at a roster going forward, I wouldn't mind him having him as a starting power forward on a team with Dame and, an Ingram, next year, plug in whatever center you can find. Out that there's not really a lot of guys on the Pelicans that make sense to me for the Blazers.
Okay, for sure. And then I want to also Ryan. We're just asking Ryan Blazers questions here, but I want to also ask you another question as far as this kind of like Blazers situation, being sellers. Because I'm also with Jay. I think they're like full tank mode sellers. So Yusuf Nurkic, definitely trying to get him off. He's unrestricted free agent. But what if the Hornets offered you PJ Washington and James Bouknight? While I know PJ Washington is not half the player that Yusuf Nurkic is. Yusuf Nurkic is on his way out. He's an unrestricted free agent. That you guys can actually get something for him, or he could walk for nothing. Would you like that? Would you take the risk on
Does anybody need a ride to the airport? I'm free. I'm available. I'll drive them. I'll pack some bags.
PDX.
I think Nerd's got a dog. I'll puppy sit for him if he needs. Just out here on the West Coast, it's cool.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. Well,
fully bought in.
Fully bought in. All right. And then, I mean, if we're gonna just keep talking about some of these trade options, Ryan, I want to ask you. I'm sure you've heard thousands and thousands of of Damian Lillard trade options. What's been one of your favorites? The one that's really caught your eye?
Of anything for Dame? None of them.
No, for CJ. For CJ.
Oh, for CJ. CJ, the ones that have interested me, I've heard the Brandon Ingram rumors. I've heard a little, RJ Barrett, those kind of things. I want to say the ones for me is anything that can help get Miles Turner over here. That's one I like. He's again, for me, it's about, this roster balance, roster fit kind of, does he fill a need? Those are the ones that pique my interest a lot. Locally, a lot of people are like, oh, if we can get, baby bonus back over here, Arvydas Sabonis, that's his team. Defensively, I don't like his fit with players such as Ant and Dame. Miles Turner fits that bill a little bit better for me, but those are just some of the names that have piqued my interest at least. And that seems somewhat reasonable. I'll still, fingers crossed, hold out hope that there's a Ben Simmons thing somewhere, but
Okay. Yeah. That'd be really cool if somehow Ben Simmons could get over there. I've been saying for the longest.
That.
If you could get CJ to Philadelphia and Ben to Portland, oh my God, that's like both teams get everything they need worked out.
Yep. But now this, the James Harden rumors possibly throwing a wrench in that. So it is what it is.
Man. And then Jay, just real quick, what about you? What's been some trades you've been, excited about or you've heard about with this as far as CJ?
The RJ kind of deal. I mean, nothing's really enticed me that much, honestly. I really don't see what Portland could get back. Really, that from the Pelicans, that's been like a huge name. But just getting back like Josh Hart and all these kind of role players, I don't think that really moves the needle or it's the direction necessary for the Blazers. So I'm with kind of Ryan that maybe you just keep him if nothing really moves the needle enough or puts you in the right direction of being a contender or getting back pieces necessary. You just wait till the offseason and go into full tank mode, get a top 5 pick, and move on from there and see what you can get in the offseason. I think that's a great way and great plan moving forward if you're not going to get anything valuable in return.
Okay. All right. For sure. So then let's go ahead and move on to the next team here. All right, guys. Next team we got here is the 11th seed. We have the Pelicans. Are they a buyers, sellers, or hold? They're an interesting team.
They got to be sellers, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm feeling sellers on them.
And I mean, nobody even knows if Zion's coming back this year or what the heck's going on with his, status or weight or whatever. they got to be sellers, but there's so many rumors floating around about them trying to be buyers and trying to find a guy to pair properly with Zion and and Ingram, and everything that from outside the organization just screams that they got to be sellers.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely sellers, and it's because, well, number one, I just don't ever see the Jonas Valanciunas and Zion pairing working. I mean, I think Zion's just a natural center. He's undersized center, and you pair him with Valanciunas. That just sounds like a clogged paint to me. I mean, we know Valanciunas had a stretch. He was stretched where he's shooting the ball great, but that's not what he likes. He likes basket, scoring down low. That's his game. And I think teams like Toronto, maybe some other teams will be interested in his services, then potentially bringing him back to the six. I know that for sure. So I think the Pelicans have to be looking to sell here and getting some pieces, maybe picks in return, and gearing up and setting up for when Zion comes back.
Yeah, I'm definitely right there with you guys. I think that they got to be looking to be sellers if they want to realistically do. They're not going to be able to do anything this year, but even in the coming years, do something. Because Ryan, I know you're on the pod today. I know you're a big Blazers fan, but every time I talk about teams in the purgatory or in no man's island, I always give the Blazers as an example. So I'm sorry about that, Ryan.
We've had that timeshare spot for years. It is perfectly fine.
So yeah, I always say that if teams don't want to be in that Blazers spot where getting knocked out early first round or even late second round or not even making the playoffs, you don't want to be in that spot. And I think if the Pelicans keep going, like how you guys said, with this Brandon Ingram's, Devontae Graham, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Zion, all these players, I think that they're going to continue to be that mediocre team who never does anything in the playoffs, but can never get a good pick as well.
And that's the weird thing about them too, is like you name off a lot of those names and plenty of teams want guys like that, but it's like they have all these puzzle pieces. They just can't get them to freaking fit together. But there's just not letting anybody else use them.
Yeah. That's the Pelicans and the Kings. The Kings and the Pelicans both got that same thing. And and then another thing I just want to add too, as far as like if they really look to be like real sellers and really rebuild, like I actually really like their young core. Like they got some really good young players over there. I like Trey Murphy III, but none other than my favorite guy. I tweeted about him the other day, man. Herbert Jones, man, he is going to be a freaking star in this league someday. Like in my opinion, like I'm watching the guy and he's guarding guards in the perimeter, getting to the hoop, being able to guard the rim, to bringing the ball down court. He's a young cat though, so you got to give him some time. But Herbert Jones, man, I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. but all right, so then let's keep it pushing and let's get to the 12th seed, and that is the Spurs. Spurs, buyers, sellers, or hold. Jay, I know Jay's been liking the Spurs this year.
Oh, I mean, the Spurs are just one of those teams. I think sell one player in particular, and that's Thaddeus Young. I think a lot of teams are going to be inquiring about him, getting a veteran big in return. I think that's just like a selective sell. And then I think there's some other teams or some other players like DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, those not so obvious sells that potentially teams could be inquiring about their services. So I think it's kind of selective selling, but get those, if they're going to choose to rebuild and shift towards the young guys, which they've kind of been doing. I think they got to listen to some names that they might have to get out.
There's nothing else I can add to that. And I won't lie, I forgot the Spurs were part of the NBA. I can't tell you. No. I knew they were part of the NBA, but like my mind has gone nowhere near this. I think the first bit of Spurs news that I took in this season was that former Blazer Zach Collins made his debut the other day.
Oh, true. Yep. Fine.
That was about it. Yeah. Let's see how long he can actually stay on a court. I'll give him 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, that's hilarious. That seems to be the Blazers. I guess they're a personality in the NBA. People just forget that they're there. But all right, man. So let's keep it pushing, guys. Let's get to the next seed, and that's the Kings, the 13th seed, the team that have a bunch of assets that can help so many other contending teams, but they don't give them up. So, guys, buyers, sellers, or what?
Or what? They're high on their own supply.
Yeah.
Do the Kings realize they're the Kings? That I mean, anytime you hear any of their guys listed in trade rumors, it's they're either asking for the moon or they're snubbing their nose for people calling about their players because they're like, oh well, we can get more for that. No, you can't. Like 2 decades of being, of NBA mediocrity has taught us that you need to take a different approach. So what buyer, seller, I don't know. Just don't be the Kings. That's the Kings' goal. Don't be the Kings.
The Sacramento Kings, aka the most dysfunctional franchise in the NBA. I think, I think sell, buy, just do whatever you need to do to just be relevant in the NBA scale, to be a successfully functioning organization. I don't know what that will take, like you said, Ryan, but whatever those necessary steps leading up to this week, I don't know if it can be fixed in one day, but that's what the Kings need to do. I don't really have a real answer for you. I don't know if it's buying, selling. I'm with Ryan on this. I don't know.
You know what? I want to add
choose a direction.
Just choose a direction. Just pick somewhere. I really want to add. I really like what both of you guys were saying, and just saying just do something. Like whether you buy, sell, but do something. Just don't keep doing what you're doing. I really like that. And then I want to just kind of highlight this because yesterday while I was kind of putting this together and looking at the Kings roster, they just have so many different assets that could help every contending team. Imagine what Harrison Barnes could do on a title contending team. That's a 3-and-D plug and play guy. Imagine what Buddy Hield, a knockdown shooter, could just do on any championship team. Marvin Bagley, he hasn't been playing up to the level that he was at in college, but you could take a gamble on him and get him for cheap and have him be able to work out because maybe he's actually a good player, but the Kings are so damn dysfunctional. Jay, you love Rashard Holmes. I mean, Rashard Holmes, man, he's a Bam Adebayo 2.0, really. And I mean, if you're willing to trade Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox, you could sweep the floor and get hella players for that. So the Kings just need to pick a damn direction because they have so many players to move from. Wow, that's crazy, man. All right, so then let's keep it pushing, guys, and let's get to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Buy, sell, or hold.
They got to be buyers at some point, right? I mean, they have in draft capital, they have all the cash in the world basically to do whatever they want. I mean, so are they still trying to suck for more draft? There's no more draft picks. They have them all.
That is true. I'm not gonna lie. That is true. Jay, do you feel that same way, or how do you feel?
I think they're still selective sellers, and there's 3 names that I have listed, and that's Kendrick Williams, who Oklahoma City said Sam Presti said they've actively been accepting interest in him because I think any team can use a 3-and-D swingman kind of player, which Kendrick Williams is. And then two other players that I listed here are Mike Muscala and Derek Favors. I know specifically for the Warriors who need, a veteran big man or a big man who can stretch the floor a little bit, Mike Muscala is a really underrated pickup they can have, as well as Derek Favors to add some size. So I know there's some contenders who will be inquiring about those 2 guys in particular. So kind of selective selling. And then maybe if you can add a nice young piece to complement Josh Giddey and Shea, you look to do that as well, like Ryan said, maybe. So
I just went and saw the Blazers Thunder game in person on Friday, and Giddey, that is a fun watch. He is a nice little player.
He is nice. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, he is nice.
Giddey,
all those players that come from from overseas, man, they come ready. They come prepared to play. So yeah, Giddey is nice. But Jay, real quick, hey, I'm gonna need you to put some respect on Bielitsa's name, Jay. I need you to put some respect on my guy Bielitsa's name, Jay. Come on,
Bielitsa's, Jay. Love-hate relationship with that guy. I think
I'm just kidding.
When he plays his role,
when he plays his role, he can do it, man.
I respect him, though. I respect what he does.
No, I'm just playing with you, Jay.
He's not a true. Is he a true center? I don't think so.
No, I'm right there with you. I definitely would rather have a different center than Bielitsa, especially someone for the Oklahoma City Thunder because they're not going nowhere. So, I'm right there with you guys. But I want to talk about just a little, I guess, a bit of a different perspective because Ryan, you talk about the buyers, Jay, you talk about sellers, and then. I'm not saying they should hold because they're the 14th seed, but I'm just saying you don't want to give up on all this young talent, I guess, so early. They have an average age of 23. You know what I'm saying? That's extremely young. You know what I'm saying? To have an average age of 23 in the NBA, Yes, your team's most likely going to suck, but maybe, let's stay for the long haul and let's see what could happen.
But
Sometimes.
at some point in time, you got to do something with that talent. You got to put something around it. I mean, you're seeing it more and more in the NBA, kind of like with the NFL model of like, your time to win is when, you're not necessarily playing your star payers, this top tier, 30, 40, now we're approaching $50 million a year, on high end contracts for your stars on your team. And so you got to kind of, while they're cheap, do what you can. If you want, you can't just say, all right, well, fine, he's entering his prime at 27. Now you've had him for how long and you haven't done anything. It's kind of hard to flip that switch, especially when these stars you want to build around, or these players that you want to develop into stars, start earning some bigger bucks.
Okay. So then for you, Ryan, like you'd be more willing to, I wouldn't say give up, but I guess be looking to ship a Darius Bazley, who's got a lot of potential. But
yeah.
So you'd be willing to ship him?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about? Let's see. What about a Dort? Would you be willing to ship a Dort?
Nah, I think they got it. Dort's one of their foundationals.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I definitely like that perspective, Ryan. I mean, you got to win at some point, so you're not wrong. So. All right, cool. So then let's move to the last seed, you guys, and that is the Houston Rockets. Buyers, sellers, or hold.
Houston Rockets.
Oh gosh, I think they need to be buyers, but I mean, Tillman Fertitta hates spending money, so I can't tell him to buy anything.
Yeah.
I think they need to fix their relationship with Christian Wood and figure out if he's one of their long-term building pieces. It's been such a roller coaster with him there. If they're going to ship him off and try to choose a bit of a different direction, then that'll change it. But I think they need to be buyers, try to finally put some pieces around this.
Yeah. Jay?
I'm thinking sellers, but sellers select another selective team, and that's Eric Gordon. I don't think he fits what they're doing in the future. I think a lot of teams could use a kind of microwave scorer, and we've been seeing what they've been doing recently, kind of showcasing him as we so see around trade deadline, where the players are getting their usage just spikes up, and Eric Gordon's one of those players who's been having that usage spike. So I think they're going to be looking to move him on in a few days here on the 10th.
Oh man, yeah, I definitely think that they need to be sellers as far as getting John Wall a home. Let's let John Wall play some basketball. But again, who's going to take that terrible contract? That's a different discussion to get into. But I do want to add that too, Jay. Like, I mean, not add, but I guess second what you're saying about Eric Gordon, that he could be the difference between a team winning a title or not, being that microwave scorer off the bench.
Yeah.
What was that, Jay?
I don't know about that, but I think he can.
You don't think
he's not moving the needle like that? But
no.
It's Eric Gordon.
But listen,
man,
okay,
it's a rough time to be an Eric in the NBA, man. Eric Bledsoe and Eric Gordon's stock just fallen so much.
Look, I'm not saying Eric Gordon's going to come out there and give your star player 30 points, but I'm saying if you add Eric Gordon to that Nets bench, does that Nets bench not become insanely more scary? They have they're not relying on Eric Gordon to really produce anything. It's come off the bench, score. Role players are huge when it comes to playoffs. Players that hit threes. What do you guys don't think?
You said the difference between a championship and not a championship.
Okay.
I don't think that he's going to add depth and scoring to a contending team. But how you phrased it originally, that's why I was like, oh,
okay. The way I phrased it was wrong. So the way I meant to say was like, man, if you got the Nets and the Warriors playing, let's say in the finals, and then you have Eric Gordon come off the bench and go for 20, 25 points off the bench. I mean, and what if that's game 7? Like that's what I meant by say a difference between championship or not star player. But all right,
man, that'd be a rough finals appearance for Kyrie. Where does he vacation during it?
Yeah,
that's true. That is a huge question mark that we have here, man. But all right, man. Well, damn. All right, so guys, we made it through the list. buyers, sellers, or hold. Ryan, man, we really appreciate you coming on here, man. Like coming and sharing your knowledge with us, talking about how you feel about this Blazers situation, and just being on here, Ryan. We appreciate that, man.
Oh, not a problem, guys. Thanks for reaching out. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, I always got a little bit of time to chat some basketball.
Yes, sir, man. Jay, you got any last words?
Nah, Ryan, appreciate you coming on again, and yeah, it's just fun talking buyers. So looking forward to the next few days though, because it looks like it's coming fast with these deals. Looks like it's not either. Not teams aren't even waiting anymore. I've never seen it before, really.
like I said at the top, I was like, we're used to like it's like 12 hours beforehand. It's like, you know, we have our Woj alerts on and our phones never stop buzzing, but you know, we're starting to trickle out it now a little bit.
Right.
Let's see, man. Maybe you might be crazy trades this year, but I don't know, man. We'll see. But again, guys, everyone at home, we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to check out all of Ryan's work, Ryan's Blazers podcast, all of Ryan's Twitter and everything will be linked in the description down below. So make sure you go check him out and show him some love, man. But if that's it, then we're out here, y'all. Clutch Talk out.
Peace.